Hey, you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Ali, your favorite eccentric SLO-mad. What is going on? What's up, everybody? All right, so today we're going to talk about 7 things, most important things you need to travel. This comes up in every conversation, but hopefully I can make this one short and just share this information with you guys so that you at least have the first part of your checklist filled out. You need more information, please reach out to me to start your travel journey. I've got a travel course. I do one-on-ones. I've got other information, other YouTube videos that can help you out or put you in contact with people that you may need. But everything on this channel is about travel and things surrounding travel. So we touch on a number of different things, but travel is the base. And if you are interested in going to different places, that I'm not just focused on one area. Lately, I've been talking about Thailand because I'm here in Thailand, but I cover pretty much everywhere that I've been around the globe because not everyone wants to go to the same place. So if that is interesting for you, or the type of travel, or wanting to relocate, anything along those lines is interesting, please consider liking my channel, subscribing to my channel, sharing my channel, and leaving a comment for me, guys. Let me know what you guys are thinking, where you're thinking about going in this climate that we're in right now. Are you frantic? Are you trying to figure out what is possible for you? Let me know. That's why I do one-on-ones to assist you all with things that are very specific to your situation. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about 7 things that you're going to need. Number 1, the passport. You guys, so the reason why I say the passport is because of people. Okay, I'm back. I apologize. I got completely knocked out for a crazy reason. So I'll share that with you guys later. Try to get refocused here. All right. So for anybody who pops back on, there's going to be a long delay. So yeah. So if you're interested in travel and one moment, let me. Okay, so if you're interested in travel information, you guys, please jump in. Click the subscribe button, so on and so forth. All right, so we're gonna get back to what I was talking about, which is the passport thing. Hey, everybody, welcome to my channel. Welcome. The names are going. Okay. Hey, everybody, welcome, Mohammed. I think it says well, it's gone now. Let's talk about the passport and why I talk about the passport, because for typical my biggest follow group is from the United States, and there was a point in time where we could travel at least to the Americas and we didn't need a passport. Well, those times have changed, you guys. We need passports to pretty much go everywhere in the world if you want to go to another country, not a territory within the US, but to another country. All right, and so what you need is you need to make sure that your passport has 6 months of eligibility, meaning that it does not expire more less than 6 months from when you are trying to take your travel, and you have at least one blank visa page within your passport. That's very important. Some places are a little bit more lenient, but in general, if you're coming to a place like Thailand or even Europe, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough space in your passport before you buy that ticket and get to the airport and they decline you getting your boarding pass and getting on the flight. All right, so that's one thing. Next thing is arrival cards. A lot of places are hold on a second. A lot of places are starting to require an arrival card. So what that is it's a card that lets the immigration system know when you enter a country, where you're planning on staying. It's kind of like being able to track you a little bit. And that's important. I mean, we're going through a phase everywhere in the world. Immigration is a big topic. And so this is something that if you're not used to it, you need to get used to it, because you're going to see it pretty much everywhere. There's differences in the arrival cards. Some of them are automated, where you can walk into the airport and scan and fill it out right before you walk through, electronic immigration gates. Some of them require that you do it at least 24 hours in advance. Some of them have a fee associated. It's kind of like a visa almost, but you have to pay and then you have to wait for an approval back. So there's different forms. Some of them, you fill out the piece of paper still and present it to the immigration officer. Similar to what they used to do, they would give you the piece of paper on the plane and you fill out all your information, family name, where you're staying, so on and so forth. So those things are becoming a normalcy with travel. So don't be taken off guard or think that this is something directed at you. It is something that most places are implementing now and making sure that they are utilizing for every single traveler that enters into their country. The third thing, boarding pass. So a lot of times when we think, we're like, well, I have it on my phone. Do I need a physical boarding pass? Do I need, any of this information? Do I need to track it? In some places, if you're traveling internationally, even if you have it on your phone, you have to physically check in at the check-in desks, whether you're checking bags or not. Because a lot of times I don't check bags, but I still need to go and get a physical boarding pass, a piece of paper from the desk. And sometimes I like to do that when I have a bag that is a little bit bigger. It's like a backpack, but I want to make sure that they show that they've seen the bag and they've waited or whatever, and I'll ask for a little tag from the airline, so that way when I get to the gate, there's no issues, no questions about wait or anything like that. But getting that physical boarding pass is something that you need to consider, because a lot of times, there are times when you'll go up to immigration, like it might be in a different area and you maybe go up an escalator or whatever, you go through immigration and they want the piece of paper and you don't have it. So you have to go back down, go to the desk. So I always say, if you're going to be traveling internationally, walk up to the gate first, or not the gate, walk up to the check-in gate desk and say, hey, can I use the boarding pass that's on my phone, or do I need a physical boarding pass? And that boarding pass is going to give you information that you're going to need for your arrival card. Okay. Accommodations is next. So this is something that you really need. If you're anyone like me, if you're a person like me who sometimes you book things in advance and sometimes you book it when you arrive, sometimes you book things the day before. That may all be well and good, but if you are going to a place that requires you to have an arrival card, part of filling out the arrival card, they're going to ask you where you're staying, your accommodations. Whether they check it or not, I don't know, but it is a required field on most arrival cards. So you're going to need that anyway. So get your accommodation set, at least for the first few days. I'm one of those kind of people, if I'm staying somewhere long term, I will book something for a couple of days, see if I like it, because I may be looking at something that's within a certain price range, maybe in a certain area. I don't want to be in a real touristy area, so I want to stay somewhere a little, off the beaten path, but I want to make sure that the off the beaten path is going to work for me. So I don't want to pay for 2 weeks in advance and then have to bail and not get a refund. So just little things to think about. And the reason why sometimes we don't always book our full stay, but you're going to need that information for your arrival card anyway. So get at least a couple days of accommodation set. Onward flights. There are some countries that when you go to them, they want to see an onward flight. They want to see that you actually have a flight to leave. They want you to leave. They want to make sure you're going to leave. And these are places that we might be visa exempt. We might even have to apply for a visa, but they want to make sure that you actually have a plan to leave the country. Now, there are companies that have monopolized. Example, Onward Ticket. It's literally called onwardticket.com. And you can go on Onward Ticket and buy a legitimate ticket for as low as $14. And that will cover you for 24 hours. You pay a little bit more and it'll cover you for 48 hours. And I think they even do an option for that'll last for a week. So let's say you're popping in and out of multiple cities and within a country, and one of those places wants to know that you're planning on going home or you're going back to the States. You can pay for a onward ticket that shows that you have intentions to leave. And the reason some people would say, well, why wouldn't you have a round trip? Why wouldn't you have an onward ticket? Well, if you are moving around, nomading around like I do, or other people, or you're staying in a place for a certain amount of time, and say like you go to Albania. Albania has a 12-month visa exempt for is 12-month visa exempt for US citizens. So they're not going to ask you for an onward ticket. But let's just say they did. In 12 months, you don't know if you're going to stay a week. You don't know if you're going to stay, a month, 2 months, 6 months. You may be ready to go. You may, whatever the case may be. Well, an onward ticket allows you to get a ticket that satisfies the entry of passing the point where they check to see if you have intentions to leave, and still giving you the freedom and flexibility to change and decide what city you're going to fly out of, or where you're planning to go next. Maybe you're going to explore a certain region or something like that, so you don't know the date that you're leaving. The other thing that you can do, and I said onward ticket, the other thing that you can do without using one of those platforms is to go on to certain either airlines that offer refundable tickets at a discounted price, or go onto a platform that allows you a 24-hour cancellation, something like Expedia. Expedia, you can buy an airline ticket and you have an automatic, without paying any extra, 24 hours to cancel that. And so you can use something like that. And or you can keep the ticket, and if you have one change offer, or it's refundable, you could just book your ticket and then change it when you need to. So those are just things that you need to know as part of this process when you're traveling. These are little tidbits, things that help some of us who have been out here for a long time, how we move around. Because a lot of people ask, well, how do you do it? You don't know where you're going. How do you manage past some of these requirements that they have? And it's not a get over kind of thing. It's a thing where the system is set for a certain type of traveler, and anything that's outside of that, kind of picturesque traveler, they don't have a system set up for. So you have to still make sure that you are following the guidelines that are being set. And these are just different ways that you can do that to make sure that you're covered on your side, but also giving yourself some flexibility. Number 6 thing is funds. More countries are starting to push this, the idea that is written in most immigration sites. If you go on immigration sites for different countries in the world, they'll say there will be a little blurb that says you have to show that you have this much income when you come into the country. Like, you literally have to have this much cash when you come into the country. Most places do not enforce it. And so now in 2025, you're seeing people stating that, man, I was forced to show that I had this amount of money and I didn't have it because I didn't go to the cash station. You can't go to the cash station before, and I was denied entry. And a lot of times it's tied to something else that alerted them to you and to your passport or something like that. But you guys get to a point where this is something that you're starting to get used to, where you look to see, is there a requirement for how much money you have to have for each person coming into the country? And if you don't have it, that's something that you want to consider or think about before you buy a ticket. Because if you are denied entry and any of your accommodations, your flights, any of that stuff is non-refundable, you may be caught between a little bit of a rock and a hard place. So make sure that you've got the funds available. And the last thing that I didn't really mention is the visa. Know the visa process. You need to know what the visa requirements of what the length duration of stay is for you, and what are the requirements if you stay longer, if you choose to stay longer, or if you want to stay but you need to leave a country. Some countries have an open border hopping policy, like Vietnam, because they don't really offer any other short term. They're starting to come out with some other visas and things of that nature, but unless you're applying for residency, they have a 3-month visa, and the expectation is that you're going to border hop. And they have services set up for you to border hop. But then you come over to Thailand, and border hopping is becoming a thing, like a taboo thing. It's something that they are really pushing against. They don't want you border hopping. They want you to get a valid visa. Well, Thailand is a little bit more robust in the visa arena as compared to Vietnam. And there's lots of visa options, short-term and long-term visa options that you can get in Thailand. And so they want you to exercise and utilize those visa options and not be using the tourism visa option of hopping in and out. So it really just depends on where you're going and understanding, what the requirements are and making sure that you don't violate those requirements because it could affect you long term. So you guys, those are my 7 things that you're going to need. Now, let me just give you really quick. I'm going to run down these 7 things, what you have to have for Thailand. So for Thailand, passport needs to have 6 months validity before it expires and 1 blank page. I don't know if they actually look at it, but when you look at your passport, I need you guys to look at the top of each page. There's some pages that are blank and there are some pages that say visas. That's where they do the visa stamps. They usually do not stamp outside of that, even though there's other blank pages. So make sure you have a blank visa page within your passport. Y'all get the 52 pager. It doesn't cost any more money. When you renew, make sure you get the big book, okay? For Thailand, your entry card is called TDAC. It is the Thailand, oh gosh, it's the arrival card. I think it's destination arrival card. I'm not quite sure what the D stands for. I can't remember. I'll think of it after I end this video probably. But it is your arrival card, and that arrival card is going to need you to fill in all the information, your boarding pass information, your flight number, where you left from, your accommodations, where have you been in the last 2 weeks, and what countries you've been to. Things of that nature is what it's going to ask you. Boarding pass you need for Thailand. If you're coming from another country, it's easier regardless of the airline that you're flying is to have a physical boarding pass when you're coming into Thailand. Get your accommodation set. It's a little bit more fluid here. One of the things that you want to know about Thailand is in many countries, they push against short-term condo apartment rentals. So a lot of people say Airbnb and they associate everything with Airbnb, but you can book a long-term hotel on booking.com. You can book a long-term hotel, a short-term hotel, like a week or 2 days on Booking, on Agoda, on Expedia, on, any of these various platforms, Verbo, you can book them. It's just the concept of staying in a residential housing unit and being a daily renter. They don't want that. So that's just something that you need to be aware. Thailand is actually really particular about that, and some residents in different places are very particular about that. So just be aware of that. If you're going to a place and it looks like a residential condo and you're renting it, be aware that sometimes your Airbnb person may tell you to be their cousin. You need to decide if you are comfortable with that, okay? Because, yeah, a lot of times they take it out on the person who's renting, not on the person who is doing the renting, not the rentor, but the rentee, okay? Onward flight ticket. I haven't been asked for an onward flight ticket coming into Thailand. I don't think I've ever been asked for one, but that doesn't mean that you won't be asked for one. To make sure that you are in a position to present that should you need it, okay? Lately, people have been coming into Thailand saying they've been requested to show their 20,000 baht in cash, which is equivalent to about $650, $700, depending on the exchange rate. So yes, they are looking for you to have a certain amount of cash on you when you enter the country. I just entered from Cambodia, didn't have any questions or anything like that around how much money. And my December travel bestie also came in and they didn't ask him, but some people are being asked. And again, I think it's associated with your activity within your passport. So just be aware of that. And if you think that there might be something of question, just make sure that you have the amount of cash that you need per the immigration rules and entry rules that they outline on their site. You never know. It's up to the discretion of the immigration officer. Okay. And then for visa, you can enter into Thailand as a U.S. passport holder 60 days visa exempt, and you can get a 30-day extension, which is 1900 baht, about 59 USD. And then you do need to leave the country, or you can do like some of us who are doing one of the other short-term visa, or not short-term visa, it's like the middle tier visa. So I have a DTV 5-year visa, which allows me to work in Thailand. I don't work for a Thai company, but I can work, do any of my business from in the States or whatever. I can legally work here with no issues. We get 5 years. It's multi-entry, 180 days per stay, which lines up with their tax rule. And you can either stay and do an extension physically here in the country, or you can leave. I have a number of videos talking about the DTV, talking about the 90-day reporting, explaining that process that I've gone through as well. And the other option is to just get up and leave the country. There's no obligation to stay a certain amount of time with your DTV, but they are starting to really push people who are frequent travelers to Thailand to get some short-term extension or visa, short-term being, retirement visa, education visa, DTV, soft power, or entrepreneur DTV visa, and or the long-term visas that start around 10 years. So consider those options, you guys. Consider those things when you are planning your visit and or your long-term stay when you're coming to Thailand. All right, you guys, that is it. Hey, everybody. Hey, hey, Derek, how's it going? I was trying to run through everything and not read all the messages. I appreciate you guys popping in. I just wanted to share that I've been, when I see things pop up on social media and there's so much uproar around so many things and so many questions, I've really been focusing a lot of the videos that I've been doing and or posts that I've been sharing on social media around this whole immigration thing, because it's starting to affect everyone around the world, all different countries. It's not just in the United States where, we're seeing this big push on immigration and immigration reform, or, whatever it's being called, but kind of painting the broader picture that this is something that we need to be aware of around the world, because maybe there is a little bit of laxness to it that we're not considering and we're not thinking about. Come on, don't be you. Listen, what are you afraid of? Derek, talk to me. I'm here for you. I've gotten the important stuff out of the way. What are you apprehensive about? Where do you want to go? Tell me. You gotta go. You gotta go. Let me throw this little tidbit in. There's a reason why, because I'm gonna do a video about soft life and what that means, because I kind of just did like this little short, brief video talking about freedom, wealth, and ease, and how the culmination of those kinds of things, we always kind of center back to the financial aspect of it, but we're not adding in all of the other elements that cause us to have a drained experience in the US. It's not just financial. There's a lot of things that are draining when you're in a place that doesn't put a priority on health, that doesn't put a priority on humanity, that doesn't put a priority on balanced life. We say work-life balance all the time. When have you ever had work-life balance? And I don't mean you per se, because I don't know what you do, but like the majority of the people, who has work-life balance, and what is work-life balance? And I'm even comparing the corporate to the house parent, whether it's the male or the woman who's staying at home, compared to being in corporate. It's the same type of tumultuous strain that you have. And then all of these things, like everything is in utter turmoil. and you don't know where things are going to land. So it's more than just the financial, because a lot of times people are like, well, I can't leave, I can't this, I can't that. And one of the things I want to say before, I end this video, is if you're someone who is thinking that you can't do this, you can't get out in the world, you can't, first just start to explore, you can't take that trip, for whatever reason, my first thing is to say, do you want to? Is this something that you want to do, or you just see people doing it and you're kind of like, well, I don't want to do that? Well, first of all, anything that anyone else is doing, you're not required to do it because someone else is doing it, right? That's just not your wheelhouse. That is not your thing. Move on to something else, right? But if it's something that's like sitting back here, it's like tweaking, got your ears itching, you're, burning up here, and, your chest gets a little hot, and you're like, oh my God, this looks really cool, but I don't know how to do it. I don't have anybody to do it with. I want to, all these things. This is what I'm here for. I'm here to share my experiences, good and bad, whatever they may be, with you guys, so that you can, maybe embark on your own journey or start making moves to consider something else. Because I will tell you guys, and this is not just a cliche, clicky kind of comment, that travel literally is the best. It is the best and probably the most effective education that you'll ever get. Experience, learning the things that either you may already know, but I'm going to almost guarantee 85% of what you think you know is not true of any place around the world, of any people around the world. 9 times out of 10, especially what we learn in the U.S., is inaccurate. And so we have a kind of this ideal that nothing is going to be better anywhere else until you go for the idea of, a vacation or whatever. And you're just like, but the United States literally has so many beautiful places and sites and coastal cities. And why do I need to go to another country? Because all you know is the U.S. way, right? And the U.S. way is starting to unravel and show you that maybe the things that we think we know or thought we knew or whatever the case may be are not actually accurate, and how much more fulfilling and rewarding. Not to say none of that indicates that anywhere you go is going to be perfect, or not have corrupt government, or not have humanitarian issues, or not have third world issues that we have in the U.S. That they're not going to have infrastructure issues unless you go to like certain cities in China. You know what I mean? Everywhere you go in the world has a good, a bad, a middle tier, but it's a way of life that I think we don't necessarily think exists outside of the U.S. border. And so we're always like dumbfounded and just in awe when we go to places and we're like, oh my God, this is just like. So I do a lot of videos where I just walk up and down the street, and sometimes it looks like I'm in another place, and sometimes you can't tell where I am. You think I'm in a U.S. city, and that is on purpose. I do those videos on purpose. I'm going to start doing a series maybe called In the Life of a 54-year-old. In the life of a 54-year-old. And just show you like what it's just like to walk around. Like, I'm not looking for activities every day. I'm literally just like, this is what it's like on Sunday morning in Bangkok. This is what it's like on a Tuesday afternoon in Cambodia. I just went to Cambodia, y'all, last month at the end of November, first time, and loved it. It is going to be a place that I hop over to. Maybe not as frequently because they require a visa, but so does Vietnam, But once you realize these things, I'm gonna read what you said there. They don't snatch us up, but I'm not sure how we're looked at in other countries and cultural situations. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Whitey McGee didn't know that I have. That's why you need to leave. Because most of the rest of the world doesn't treat us like the United States. I walk around at 1, 2, 3. When I was living in Vietnam, I would walk home, 45-minute walk through the city to my apartment that was in a local area at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like if I was like, okay, this is a day I don't want to take a grab bike because we have motorbikes and you can get on one, it's like $1, right? But they be out partying too. And I'm like, I'll walk, you know, no issues. In Thailand, you can go to the beach, leave all your stuff, nobody steals. I mean, if you're in a high touristy area, you might have that, but that's typically because you might have some foreigners stealing from you. But like if I go to one of my favorite places in Bangkok to co-work, it's called True Digital Park. They have signs that say, please don't leave your things unattended. But anywhere you go, any coffee shop I go to, mall I go to, people, there's like tables and stuff, and people sit and work. And I've seen people literally get up and leave and be gone for 20 minutes because they're walking the mall or they're just going to another place, taking a breather or whatever. They leave their laptop, good laptops. They usually take their phone with them. They leave their bags, everything. And then they come back and everything's untouched. I've only done it a couple of times because I think I still hold that mentality from the States. Ain't nobody, and there are some places where we'll go, depending on your hue, you may stand out or you may not. And sometimes it's inquisitive and sometimes it's a circus show. But you control all of that. You literally can say, I don't want to be part of your circus. I was in Chiang Mai, Thailand a couple weeks ago, and I was walking by something, and usually you hear, Asians always want to take pictures with us and stuff, and they do. But this is also in India. You will get take pictures with my kids. Everybody stay around staring at you in India, and we look more like India people from India. You say Indians? People from India, then we look like Americans because they're the same color as us or darker, right? So you're like, oh, but it's because you're foreign. They want to take pictures with you and all these things. Literally, you could say yes or no. Just be kind or gentle. I was in Chiang Mai and it was a couple sitting down taking a photo and I jumped in the photo. And they were like, listen, have fun with it. But one of the things is yes, you're going to get crappy people, but 9 times out of 10, there are other Western foreigners that you're going to have the most issue with. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be foreigners, Western foreigners, i.e. Europeans and Americans, and some Australians on occasion. Australians are usually pretty even keel. They pretty dope people. You can't understand what they're saying anyway. He said, I really hear about what you're saying. I like to go to the hood because that's where I'm from. Hey, we in the hood. Listen, let me show you where I'm living right now. I house sit. I pet sit. My kitty's not up here. And so sometimes I end up in very local areas, like where I'm starting a house sit in 2 days, and that's in the heart of Bangkok, and I'm in a high rise. I'm like on the 23rd floor or whatever, and I'm like right in the mix of, one of the more upscale in price areas. And so it just depends. It really just depends. I'm sure you are probably comfortable. I'm from the block. I'm literally looking to, but but let me just tell you, let me ask you this. Do you want to travel? It sounds like if you live in Wisconsin and you got a snowmobile and some sledge, you might want to, hit up some of these slopes on the other side of the world. You might, and this is what I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you this and I'm going to put it to bed. I'm going to put it to rest because I'm not about convincing anybody of anything, but I love to share experiences. Like there's just some things that I could tell some stories of situations where I was just like, whoo, I didn't know. And then, the way that it turned out, it was completely not what I was thinking would happen. I don't fear police anywhere except in the United States. I don't get jittery. Uncomfortable talking to cops anywhere except in the United States. I don't worry about a lot of things. And yeah, I am of a different age demographic, but I like to think that they don't know my age demographic necessarily until I tell them. But man, I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to make a point about, certain experiences, and you can, around the world, people, like in the US, I think your color is seen first. And what people don't understand is black is not just something that identifies a people. They identify those rankings, what color you call yourself, by your class or caste system. If we want to go back to caste, that's how we're in the US. It's simply, oh, a color is associated with wealth, right? Where they do it a little bit differently in other places. Not to say that they don't do it, they do it. They just do it more discreetly. But when you are traveling, and let's say you said I can skate but not ski. So what that mean? Like, you an ice skater or you a roller skater? Whatever the case may be. What happens is you bond with people over what you can do. Like, they don't see, oh, you're a black person that can do this. Like in the States, we have to announce, oh, this is the first black something. In other countries, they probably need to do the same. But they literally just like fall in love with you because, wow, we do the same thing. And that's what hits first, right? And so I think it's when you travel, and this is something, if you're interested in traveling, you start working on these little aggressions that we have, microaggressions that we deal with in the States, and start dealing with the fact that they don't necessarily exist the same way in other places. Some people have different experiences. A lot of things are perception, and a lot of things are can be associated with this painted television view of you. So, but it's nothing like what you I wouldn't trade the experience that I have here or anywhere else in the world, even when I'm just like, this ain't for me. Usually it's a city. Like in Spain, for me, I love Spain, but me and Madrid are not. We not like this at all. If I can avoid Madrid, I would. Someone would have to really show me something for me to want to be in Madrid. It was it's the US of Spain for me. I just didn't like it. Some people love it. I love Barcelona personally. Same thing with Greece. I was never going to go to Greece because of all the things that I've heard their African American brothers and sisters say about how they're treated in Greece. And I ended up in Greece by way of Albania on a ferry for $20. Who is American going to Greece for $20? So I took that opportunity and jumped on the boat, went over to one of the islands, and it's a small island. So it's like, a handful of us there, but it was fantastic. The energy, the people, the care, the love, the desire to share their history and their culture and the coffee, and this is how we do it. And just the stories I can share. It's profound, right? Because I'm like, I can't come back home and get that kind of energy. I can't. And of course, we're more embedded in it than they are in different ways. And so I say all that to say everybody's experience is a little bit different, but a lot of times it's how you approach things, setting boundaries. Because I know some people who don't do the picture thing at all. Don't come in my face trying to take a picture of me. And that then sets them off. Like they are completely destroyed. Their entire day is like just kaput. Whereas some people, like myself, either I'm going to entertain it because you in it. What's up? Can I get $5? I charge $5 for photos. Or I simply say, no, thank you. No, thank you. Or I know, like, if someone's trying to get in a photo with me in the background, I'll either put my hand up or I walk away, turn my back or walk away. Like, there's just different ways to handle different things, but it's a mindset shift. So if it's something you want to do, the first thing I will say is don't start every sentence with why you can't do it. Start every sentence with why you can and why you should, right? They're not snatching you or my... You want to travel to Asia? Perhaps I'm so used to being... Yeah, but guess what? When you don't do what you want to do, you're the only person who's going to know that you didn't do what you want to do. And what I mean by that is other people may know you didn't travel, but they're not going to know that is something that was dear to you that you really wished you could have like mustered up enough strength to do, right? If you want to come to Asia, I can be the blueprint to share with you how to do that. Let me know. I mean, because it's so easy. It's easy peasy. My brother just popped up in Thailand, and I got a chance to show him some of how I live and where I live. And he popped over to Cambodia because we do this thing. We get together at least once a year, and we maybe hit up a couple countries and explore a little bit. And it was my first time in Cambodia as well. And I don't know everything, but I'm going to tell you one of the things that you may not know about yourself is you're probably more resilient than you think. You're probably more open and accepting than you think. And you're probably, it's probably easier to let your guard down than you think it is because you're going to be astonished. But I will tell you this, if you're looking for negativity, you will always find it, right? It's like a magnet thing. When the energy that you're putting out is I'm scared somebody gonna say something to me, I'm this, that's what you're gonna get. And when someone says something, it may not be the intent that they're saying something, it may be how you interpret it. So when you start to like flush a lot of that stuff away before you start embarking on these different journeys and things like that, it makes it a little bit easier. Listen, Derek, do it. Do it, do it. Don't miss out on amazing opportunity to not only see the world, but just share your experience with the world. One of the things, and before I go, I'm going to say this. One of the things that I find so rewarding, and maybe, it's positionally where I am, I've done radio and different podcasts and shared different information. And obviously, as a travel consultant, it's one of the things that I do is I share. But it's really amazing to be in spaces where people share with you, even when we're not speaking the same language. Like, that's another thing. As Americans, we are so intimidated by foreign language, but we have so many tools at our disposal to have conversations. You can have a conversation with somebody via Google. Now, I'm not saying have an intimate 3-day conversation with someone, but if someone sits next to you, you can start talking on Google. Sometimes they just think that that is the most amazing thing. Oh my God, you're okay, let's talk. Like, wow, you're interested in me? I'm interested in you. And you can learn so much about people. And one of the things that I find that they actually like, yeah, they get tourism. Yeah, they do their stock tour, you know, packages and go here and go here and go here. And more times than not, most of those tour packages are going to be things that were very local and very dear to them as local people in those communities, but they're not anymore because they've turned into tourist hubs. But there's a local one that's just a little, maybe a few steps away, a half an hour away, not part of the big tour package. And when you get to know your concierge, or I don't know, your Grab guy, it's just like Uber, so it's rideshare. Or the person at the 7-Eleven, or the bartender, or the barista, and you chat with them for a second, and they go, "Hey, I know someone, be careful, in different places. Make sure you're not getting scammed and stuff like that." So you do need to take some time to build some rapport. But there are some amazing things to see out in the world, and then understanding why things are the way they are, why they do things maybe slightly different than we do, why they use certain tools, why Bangkok has so many canals. Why are there so many rivers and canals in Bangkok? What did Bangkok used to be called? It was Venice in Asia is what they used to call it. Why? Why don't they use the canals the way that they were set? Why don't, all of these things. So it's like there's so much amazing history when you start to travel to different places. As a boxer and as a baseball player, look at this. You can even share that. Um, I've been to and seen different cultures. For me, it's so that is okay. So wait, have you traveled around the world and you're just saying you haven't done it solo? Last time I was in Jamaica, I ended up in the hood like I was in the. Listen, I ended up in the hood too, and that was fantastic. I went to Jamaica one time. I can't remember what year it was. It was my pick for my birthday, with my girls, and we went to Jamaica and we hung with locals the entire time we were there. We had a blast. We ended up meeting some people who were like, "We'll take y'all around." We trusted them. I think they saw we were kung fu fighters. I mean, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. We were feisty at our best. We made sure you knew, but I think, you know, thank God for the discernment and, covering us. But I've always had really good experiences with meeting people. I think I've only had maybe one or two negative experiences that I can name off the top of my head. One in Egypt, although I love Egypt and I will go back as a solo person. Um, was it in Egypt? One in Colombia in Santa Marta. Um, Oh yeah, one in Egypt, but it was a scam. It wasn't anything like, physical or anything like that. It was, I got caught in a bit of a scam. And so those things can happen. They can happen anywhere. But imagine the stories that you can share with different people. They are so intrigued, especially older people. Like those are the ones that be staring at you, and you be like, "Why are you staring at me?" And they're staring at you because they're interested. Sometimes you get crappy people, but typically in Asia, it's amazing. Kids and stray dogs. Yeah, you get kids in a lot of places. Mexico, the kids have been taught, you know, their hustle skill sets are gleaned at an early age, very early. When I was living in Mexico on a whim, I went down there back in 2020, and I ended up staying for like 4 months. I say living because it was 4 months; it was unplanned. But when I was in Tulum area, there was like this one little boy, and he was always selling these bracelets. This is when I got into wearing bracelets from different countries all the time. So I used to always have certain bracelets on my arm. But anyway, he would always be selling these bracelets, and then eventually I was like, didn't I just buy a bracelet from you? And he was like, buy another one. But he was like so savvy, and he was like, just like catty with you, but he was like really, really a cool kid. He used to say, no, I'm not interested, but I'm gonna bring my friends tomorrow. He's like, all right, bring your friends. I'm telling you, this kid probably was 6 or 7 years old, working the streets, hustling, doing his thing. And you have that, but he was selling something. I've had the same thing in Colombia, in Egypt. A lot of times, the kids are just out and they may just be begging and things. And so you have to just get used to telling them no, a forceful enough no, similar to telling adults, a forceful enough no, without being disrespectful. But if you have to, you got to put your foot down sometimes. That's just the way it is. But I'm hoping that you and or anybody else that is listening who is maybe in the same mental space that you're in, that you want to do it but you're a little bit concerned that you might be to this or you might be to that. Never think that unless you're like I can't function, I can't talk to people, I can't walk outside my door, then yeah, maybe stay inside. Stay inside your house because you got some kind of issues. But no, if you're a person who can get along with other people, this whole idea of where we grew up and how we grew up, and thinking that we don't have good placement or position or we don't fit well around the world, that is one of the nuances and negative things of being in America and only knowing the history that has been forced upon us. There's nothing wrong with who we are, especially as Black people. We are the wealth of everything. We are the culture. We bring the culture, even if it's a little haphazard and we might need to tone it down a little bit because in some places they're not loud. So you bring it down, and they'll tell you, Auntie will tell you when you in the store and you being a little too, she'd be like, we don't be doing that over here. pipe down. So you just don't get offended. You got to learn to adjust to other people's cultures and things like that. But understanding that who we are as Black people is not a curse. It's not a sin. Like there was a model who just won like best model, or she was awarded or something, and she did her speech and she was talking to other Black girls saying, you know, they're young Black girls, I just want to let you know. And she was crying because I can only imagine she was like pure chocolate. She was like cow dark chocolate, just beautiful, beautiful glistening skin. And she said, I just want to let you know your skin is not a curse, because these are things that we hear, you know, and we grow up with them. And so then, you know, we go to other places and we just assume that everybody thinks that. And I'm not going to tell you that the rest of the world doesn't have this belief about us as people. They do, but who cares? Who cares? As long as you ain't out, you know, you're not fulfilling their stereotypes. They're actually going to learn something. They're going to learn who we are the more that we actually leave though that box of the United States. And this is why the world doesn't know us, because we've been afraid to leave. We don't leave. There's thousands of us traveling, but it's still not nearly enough. More of us need to get out here and explore the world. Let the world see who we truly are. And at the same time, learn who we are from other corners of the world, right? Thanks, Derek. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. This is 51 minutes. I was only gonna do about 20. Make sure you pop back on next time. Let me know. Let me know if you have considered popping over to Asia and where in Asia you would consider going. But I can go through Detroit, Milwaukee, Chicago. Okay, all right. Yeah. You're close to any of the big hubs that will get you on a plane to any of these wonderful places out here to explore. You know, if you're looking for like big city, you want big city, or you want, you know, kind of country, all of it is at your fingertips. So I wish you the best in, you know, determining when you're going to kind of make that jump and travel the world. And yeah, I'll pop back on, and hopefully you will pop on, and I'll chat with you soon. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have any other questions or, you know, topics that you want me to touch on, please feel free to leave them. I am going to pop over to another place, so I might go live again. My later today, which would be like early morning for you guys, your tomorrow, not today. And I may do a live tomorrow, and then I'm going to be on a bus overnight heading back to Bangkok and starting a house sit. So I'll fill you guys in on what's going on, maybe do some clips and let you guys see, you know, what travel life is like. All right, so I'm gonna get out of here. All right, Derek, it was fantastic talking with you. Hopefully I'll see you guys very soon. So you guys know the drill. Toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease.